want to switch over to Aaron Keller, who is actually in Kentucky right now. He's been inside the courtroom as testimony continued in this case, the Shayna Huber's retrial. Aaron, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here, Rachel. How are you?
Good, and you're inside your car, too, I see.
Yeah, okay, so we've talked a few times about how restrictive the reporting is on this case. The judge won't let us file reports, do live shots anywhere on the court premises. Well, it is absolutely pouring out here today, and this is the only place I can take cover. So things got going a little bit slow this morning because some of the attorneys were coming in absolutely drenched. I even offered to loan my umbrella to one of the counsel at one point, I think. It's
Don't
really
cause
coming
a
down
mistrial,
here.
Aaron, please.
It's a basic umbrella. There's no Law and Crime logo on it or anything like that. But look, the key piece of evidence that came out this morning, Rachel, from a gun expert with the state police here in Kentucky was that based on 3 of the 5 bullet holes in the victim's shirt, the key piece that came out is that gunshot residue in 3 of the bullet holes suggests that the muzzle was an intermediate range from the actual shirt when it was fired. So somewhere between 6 and 30 inches. That's as close as the expert could guess. The 2 other bullet holes that were in the shirt were inconclusive for gunshot residue, so they don't know how far the gun was when those bullets were fired. And of course, the 6th bullet went through the victim's temple. The witness that was on the stand this morning didn't test that area. He was purely looking at the shirt.
So in the grand scheme of things, talk to me how this affects the case. Because at the end of the day, we know that Shayna shot Ryan. There's some evidence. What are we looking at here, Aaron, actually?
Okay, so that's the victim's shirt, as disgusting as it is.
That's the bloody shirt.
That's the bloody shirt. So that's the shirt that has the 5 bullet holes in it that this witness was talking about this morning. That's one of the previous witnesses handling it in court. This is really, I think, the only time that they pulled it out and showed it. The other witnesses have sort of just peeked at it in the evidence bag and said, yes, that's the shirt that I tested and my initials are somewhere on the chain of custody form. They haven't really pulled it out in court very often. But yeah, so 5 bullets went through that shirt. That's why they wanted to test it for gunshot residue. The 6th bullet hit the victim in the forehead and came out on the side of the head. So the testing of the shirt wouldn't give a gunshot residue sample for that particular bullet. But to answer your broader question, what does this mean for the grand scheme of things? I was wondering the same thing. The bottom line is the state is leaving no stone unturned here. But in the grand scheme of things, she admitted that she pulled the trigger. The defense has admitted that she pulled the trigger. The question is why? And if you look at Kentucky's murder statute, it says one of the defenses is a very subjective sense of what the defendant felt was going on in the situation when the defendant pulled the trigger. So that's part of the reason why we see such a defense emphasis in this case on, whether or not the defendant, Shayna Hubers, suffered from child sex abuse.
Quick question
the accusation
for you, Aaron.
there.
Can
yes.
you tell me, did they get into the range, how close she was to Ryan when she pulled the trigger, specifically when it has to do with the bullets that went into Ryan's head?
That one, they may have come out within the last couple of days. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. I know today the key thing was 6 to 30 inches with the 3 shots to the shirt that they could quantify.
Okay, one quick, well, it looks like we're going to have to take a quick break very shortly. But, Aaron, keep reporting there. We want the latest information. I know you're under some difficult circumstances. We've never here at Law and Crime seen a judge quite so restrictive in terms of how they allow the media to cover a case, not only video-wise, but also in terms of what you're allowed to publish. So we truly appreciate you giving these important updates. We're going to continue to closely follow this trial and keep us updated on what's going on. When we come back, more on this trial and the other big cases we're following across the country.